WWE's Linda McMahon is the Secretary of Education in the United States of America. That's a damn sentence right there. And there are pressing crises that she could be tackling, like reading scores in a free fall, college not being affordable anymore, a teacher exodus, kids in Mississippi reading at 3 grades below their grade level, and Donald Trump's hand-picked person for the Secretary of Education has decided she's got a 5-alarm fire. And get ready, it is at a 155-year-old private women's college in Northampton, Massachusetts. And why is she upset? They've been admitting transgender women for the last 11 years. That's what's keeping her up at night. Smith College, 5,500 students. A bunch of them studying English literature with a minor in philosophy, just trying to get through their Wednesday morning seminars. And you have Linda McMahon, the woman whose pre-government career was as a wrestling executive at the WWE. And she's looking at those students and at that college and saying, you are the threat to women in America. Not the WWE locker room, where she actively oversaw a culture so toxic that the federal government has had to investigate it multiple times. No, instead, she's pointing at the philosophy majors at Smith. The Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights opened a Title IX investigation into Smith College, and again, the reason their press release said it out loud in writing on a federal website is, quote, that Smith is admitting biological men and granting them access to women-only spaces, including dormitories, bathrooms, locker rooms, and athletic teams. That's the language. Biological men. To describe transgender women. That's your federal government in 2026. Misgendering thousands of college students in a press release for fun. And the press release went up next to that little eagle seal that's supposed to symbolize American honor. The American eagle just looked at it and blinked in horror because it's embarrassed. We've lost that eagle, presumably. And that is what you get for putting a loyalist in charge of the Department of Education, not someone who could fix education in this country. And again, Smith, they've been admitting trans women for 11 years, since 2015. And as far as we can tell, not one Smith student or alum filed the complaint that triggered this investigation. The complaint was filed in June of last year by a conservative legal group called Defending Education. And the lady at Defending Education said all of this on the record to the Boston Globe, admitting that it didn't come from a student. And the thing that piqued her interest about Smith College was that Smith awarded an honorary degree in 2025 to Admiral Rachel Levine, who is Joe Biden's Assistant Secretary for Health, who also happens to be a transgender woman. That's it. That was the offense. A trans person was honored at a graduation ceremony. The world is falling apart, yet the conservative legal lady had her interest piqued. And she filed a complaint, and 11 months later, here we are, the federal government launching an investigation, an official investigation against a private liberal arts college in Massachusetts because the Heritage Foundation adjacent legal lawyer's interest got piqued by an honorary award. And let me just say what this is in plain language. It is just one more move in Donald Trump's campaign to make life for transgender Americans, especially young transgender Americans, as miserable as humanly possible because they don't understand it. It started on day one of his second term with an executive order declaring that there are exactly 2 sexes, no exceptions. It moved to threats against Medicare and Medicaid and their funding because they funded hospitals that provided gender-affirming care to minors. It's gone after the very small population of trans athletes in college sports. It went after the letters on your passport. and after bathrooms, and after the rules at federal prisons, and now it's coming for a small liberal arts college in Western Massachusetts that minds its own goddamn business and hasn't bothered a single soul at all. Because there is no actual problem here for Linda McMahon to solve. It's just an enemy to point at, a deflection, a blame. Her boss, Donald Trump, is ruining everything else in this country. So what do? They find the smallest, most vulnerable enemy they could find in this entire country. And that is how this administration governs. They take the smallest possible group, they shine a giant federal flashlight on it, and they tell the MAGA base, these people are ruining your life. Not the gas prices, not the tariffs, none of it. It's the kid eating alone in the Smith dining hall, trying to make it through her philosophy reading. She is your enemy. Her, of all people in the world, her. And within hours of this federal announcement, thankfully Smith students chalked the entire campus, putting messages everywhere. And they weren't messages of hate. They weren't angry. They said things like, you belong here. We love our trans sisters. Trans people belong at Smith. That's what a community does when its government tries to rip its members out of it. The college, it sent a campus-wide email with mental health resources because they knew their trans students would be terrified. Because they are terrified. They should be of this government. Because this government is pointing the finger at them. And by the way, one more thing for the record, Smith College is part of the 5-college consortium. Men attend classes at Smith every single day. Men from Amherst, men from Hampshire, men from UMass. So the campus is not, in any meaningful sense, a male-free zone. So their whole premise of defending education and their complaint, it's fake. They know it's fake. The DOE knows it's fake. The lawyer knows it's fake. And the eagle on the very seal it's written on knows it's fake. But like anything else, the point isn't to win. The point is to put trans students through hell. Well, mission accomplished, Linda McMahon. Hopefully one day we'll see you in hell in a cell. Leave me a comment what you think about all this crap that the Trump regime's pulling and putting Linda McMahon in charge of the Department of Education. It's disgusting. I want to hear from you guys.
They called it closed, filed away, forgotten. But some truths don't stay buried. Time doesn't erase guilt. A reckoning is always just around the corner. A death in Arcadia. Justice has a long memory.